So we're like entering a slow season at work. We always have a couple months in the back of the year that kind of get slow. And also I had a couple of deals drop out. One pretty major deal that kind of went sideways, and it was a series of events, right? It was a deal that I have been trying to put together for the last year, and I finally got it going, and then something happened on the customer side, and so I had to have some really tough conversations with the customer, and then I had to have some really tough conversations with my vendors too, on the back end of that. And then it's also like kind of slow. And so as a guy, as a woman too, if you're like working or if you're in a career in a field, you start, money starts to become a big concern. And Chelsea and I have more of a traditional setup where I'm paying for the mortgage, and honestly, to be honest with you guys, whatever else I can. As a guy, I get a sense of pride of being able to support and provide, and her, not having to worry about how the mortgage gets paid and all of that. And so it's just all these things combined. I got into a really tough spot. I was waking up in the morning like you're gasping out of the ocean every morning, like you're being blown back into the world from the bottom of the ocean, and just this doomsday feeling. You guys, if you deal with anxiety or depression or anything like that, you guys will know it's just this doomsday feeling. And with the work stuff, it was like I was ready for this day to end, but I didn't want the next day to begin. You know what I mean? Because I had these tough conversations coming up with vendors, and I had these tough conversations coming up with customers. So I didn't want the next day to begin, but I also just was ready. This day was already slow, and I'm doing my cold calls, and I'm working on it. And it's, and I'm like, so I'm just ready for this day to end. And again, if you guys are in a commission-based, environment where if you don't sell, you don't eat, essentially, you understand. It's like, it's not a matter of getting through the next 2 weeks, right? It's like if you see your pipeline getting smaller and you're already slower as it is, it's like, well, that just sucks, right? And then on top, we have to, I still have to, we got guys that work and we got to pay and all that. And, I'm trying to bring business in to keep everything rolling. And so anyway, so I just every morning, it's just so stressful. And was working with my therapist, still working with my therapist on it. It's an ongoing thing. But it's just, I just came to this realization. I was driving and something hit me that at the end of the day, I don't have really anyone to turn to, right? Like, if everything hits the fan, if all of it hits the fan, no one's gonna, and I know this is obvious, but we're just talking. So if everything hits the fan, no one's gonna come pay your mortgage the next month, right? 99% of the time, right? But people aren't going to come support your lifestyle that you already have just because you've been living it, And I watched a video of this older lady talking about getting older and after retirement, and it's like her husband died or whatever, and it's like you're by yourself. That if that husband was managing the finances and managing the mortgage and all that, you're by yourself. And so it's like I had this feeling of man, if everything hits the fan and you keep going down this rabbit hole of what's the worst case scenario, and it's like everything gets stripped away. It's like what happens? As a guy, as a man who it was really easy and I say this with our couples therapist, and I say this to my therapist, it was really easy when I was by myself. It was a lot easier because I could go, and I've thought this, and I've done this in life. I could go, if shit hit the fan, I go live in my car. I don't care. I had clothes hung up in the back of my Honda Accord. I was living out of it for a while. I had to do it. You do what you got to do. And then you add, like right now I got Chelsea, right? And so it's like, I don't want her to have to experience that. And so it's like, you got to put it on your back, no matter what it is. And so you go just through the bottom of the bottom case scenarios. And it's like, what am I going to do? Get a job at Walmart, get a job at McDonald's, and just, I just was landing on this interesting point, and I don't want to be depressing about it. This is just the reality of life, is that just because I'm used to this lifestyle that I've had, we've been building this business for, I've been in this industry for 18 years. I've been building one side of this business for, call it 13 with my sales, and then I switched over, and then, we started doing it for ourselves. And so it's been, growing and all that. And I'm not saying anything's dying. I'm just talking about a specific feeling in the moment of hardship that may, we're going to probably get through this again. I've been at this for 17 years in this industry, and we're probably going to get through this, and it's going to be okay. It always is, and it's not even that bad right now. But I'm just talking about a specific feeling, and when everything else gets stripped away, it's like I was left with this feeling of there's no one coming to save you, right? Like, as a man, and again, I can't speak for a woman, but I'm sure as a woman, if you're career-minded, if you're supporting the household, all that, it's like you've got to put it on your shoulders. And I've had this really good lifestyle that I've built, and the money's been good, and my lifestyle's been good, and now I have Chelsea, so life's getting better overall. But it's like, it's so easy to get used to it and take that for granted. And I think when you're faced with some of these challenges, like when there's a down period, and when this thought comes in, when this wave comes in, this wave of like dark, deep energy, like a banging drum, right? Like something's coming, like doomsday's coming. I think it's interesting to get down to the bottom of it and strip everything away and go, yeah, if I lose my job, if my business fails, if my wife leaves, whatever, and I'm using different examples now, but it's like, if all of that gets scraped away, you've got to put it on your back. And you can't just lay there and keep doing the same thing and expect the same lifestyle. And so then I also have the thought with it that I need to be more grateful for this lifestyle that I have, and the job that I have, and what I've built and what we've built, because if you're an employee, it's not guaranteed. And sometimes when you talk to other business owners, they go, we say this, like you say this laughingly, it's like, I might want, some days I want an employee job and just get a paycheck and call it a day and not have to worry about it. But as an employee, you want to be an owner because you want all the freedom that comes with it. But at the end of the day, if you're an employee, you could lose your job tomorrow if you get fired. And as an owner, if you have a misstep in your business, you could lose your business tomorrow. If you lose your employees, if your sales drop off, you could lose all that tomorrow too. So really, yeah, there's a lot better positions to be in than other positions, but in any step of the way, nothing is guaranteed based on where you are in life. And so it's really easy to take for granted what I have. And I think in these times, I'm kind of getting both of the feelings. I'm getting the wave of like doomsday of like, oh shit, like what am I going to do if it really hits the fan? And your better lifestyle is going to go away, and you're going to have to put it on your back and figure it out, and either go to work at Walmart or go to work at landscaping or do whatever you need to do. And then the other thought of, I need to be grateful while this is here. And I think, to me, it's interesting that a lot of times when things are going good, I don't really get the thought that I need to be grateful for this moment right now. It's only when stuff gets bad that I get the thought that I need to be grateful for how good I actually have it at whatever level it is. When I was sleeping in my car, well, I wasn't sleeping on the street. And when I have my, when I was, splitting up, getting divorced and having to move out and bum houses and well, at least I wasn't living on the street. And at least I had a job, right? And so every level, every step of the way, I wasn't dead. There was something to be grateful for, but unless I had a down spurt, and sometimes unless I have a down spurt, sometimes it's hard to be grateful for those things. So sometimes like the bad wave also has like a tiny bit of the gratefulness and gratitude on the back end of it. So I don't know if you guys ever have that, but anxiety is a bitch sometimes, especially. I mean, it's a bitch when things are going good because you'll make your own shit. But it's a bitch when things are going bad because, it is what it is.